Welcome to the video on how to use constraints to teach the game model in a game-based training. And when you look at this grid here, it is Guardiola's positional grid that is set up with two penalty boxes. Obviously, it's only half field, but you have the three rectangles out wide, the three spaces out wide, and you do have the half spaces in between and the middle space on top of the penalty box. So that being said, you notice the red lines, those cut diagonally in that last rectangle. That last rectangle is your low percentage area. Not many goals come from deep in that rectangle towards the end line. So in order to encourage the players not to get stuck deep on the end line in the outside rectangle box, we put these red diagonal lines in. Now the blue player cannot go into past that red diagonal line into the corner. The yellow player could go into that corner, but here's the constraint is if they go into that corner, they have 3 seconds to make a pass or to dribble at the blue defender coming out of that rectangle into the penalty box. So again, they either play backwards, they could play a ball in behind the back four, whatever they want to do, but they cannot cross the ball. The ball has to be on the ground and it has to be a pass to a teammate. They are not allowed to cross the ball in the air, or they could run at the blue defender. And on top of that, they only have 3 seconds to make up their mind once they get to the corner. You can make that even 2 seconds if the players are really good. It really depends, but that's how the exercise is set up. So now let's take a look at a situation where the player does have the ball deep in the corner in this low percentage area. There's no way he's really going to play a combination to the player in the penalty box. So obviously he has 3 seconds to make up his mind. He's going to either play diagonally back or going to play back. And again, that would be the percentage play. And I don't want my players just whipping in random balls into the box when they get into the corner. So this is teaching the player without the coach having to say, is if you get in that area, look to play the feet, look to keep possession, and most likely you're going to have at least one player in that same vertical lane behind you supporting you, and at least one midfielder or striker coming to support you on another angle outside of that vertical lane. So you could see that the game is now, the constraints are now teaching the game model for you. You've just made a rule, a constraint, where when the player goes inside that red diagonal line, they cannot cross the ball. And the blue defender can't come in. And on top of it, they only have 3 seconds to make their decision. So in effect, the constraints are teaching the game model and the actions you would like to see. And in this last example here, we could see the desired behavior that we're looking for is the winger now drives, the striker comes over, plays the 1-2 off the winger who diagonally cuts in, penetrates the end line, and leaves the ball back towards the 6 for an oncoming attacker to finish in net. So just by having that red line and that constraint, now the desired behaviors are starting to come out in the game. This is directly part of our game model. This is using constraints in our game model to reinforce how we would like the ideas of our game model to be carried out. Now, I'm sure you've seen this. Thomas Tuchel has done this exercise on the internet where, and many other coaches, where they have the diagonal lines coming in just like the red lines. You could just make it where the player cannot go over that red line into the edge of the rectangle. You could say that red line is the sideline and you can't go over it. The only thing that I actually added to this was that you can go over the red line, but if you go over the red line, you cannot cross the ball. You either have to dribble or you have to play a pass on the ground. You cannot just cross it into the box. And I also created this using Guardiola's positional grid as a frame of reference for the players.